In every mall you walk through, brands are advertising 30 or 50% off, but walk past Hermes, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, and there's nothing. No sale, no promotion, no red sticker in the window. Most people assume these brands simply don't need to discount. The truth is, stranger, a 30% markdown doesn't just cut the price. It measurably drops how people rate the quality of the product itself. Luxury brands aren't avoiding sales to protect margins. They're protecting something far more fragile, the perception that makes them luxury in the first place. Price in the luxury world isn't just a number, it is a signal, a kind of password. When you look at a $10,000 handbag, you are not just seeing a bag. You are seeing an invitation to a group, a silent code that says, "I belong." Psychologists call this the price-quality heuristic. When it is hard to judge what makes a product special, when you can't see the hours of craftsmanship or the heritage in each stitch, price steps in as a shortcut. The higher the price, the more people assume it must be worth it. This effect is strongest when the details are hidden, when the story is subtle, and when belonging matters most. A few years ago, researchers ran a simple experiment. They took two identical products. One was priced at $50, the other at $10,000. Even when people were told they were the same, the $10,000 version felt more desirable, more exclusive, more right. That's the power of price as identity. Think about the brands that never need a red sticker in the window: Hermes, Chanel, Louis Vuitton. Their core pieces don't get marked down in the boutique because the price is part of the identity. Brand strategists say it plainly. In luxury, price is the story. The moment you cut it, you are not just changing the math, you are changing who gets to belong. A visible discount on a luxury product does more than lower the price tag. It rewires how the brain responds to the object itself. In controlled lab experiments, researchers offered participants two identical items, then applied a 30% markdown to one. The results were clear. People rated the discounted item as lower quality, even though nothing about the product had changed. The effect was not just in their answers. Functional MRI scans showed that when subjects saw a luxury good at full price, the reward centers of the brain, the ventral striatum, lit up with anticipation and excitement. When the same item appeared with a discount, that activation dropped. The pleasure of owning something rare and expensive faded the moment the price was cut. The data points in one direction. Discounts do not just undermine the numbers, they undermine the feeling. For brands built on meaning and status, this is a measurable cost. The moment a core product gets a markdown, it is not just a sale, it is a signal that something has changed in the story the brand is telling. The price discipline behind pricing is not just about profit. It is about protecting the emotional and social value that makes luxury, luxury. Price discipline in luxury isn't left to chance or just tradition. It's written into contracts and enforced with precision. At the heart of this system is the minimum advertised price clause, called MAP. When a brand like Hermes or Louis Vuitton enters an agreement with a retailer, the contract doesn't just set the supply and the display rules. It spells out in black and white that the retailer cannot advertise the product below a certain price. That number isn't just a floor, it's a boundary for the brand's social meaning. MAP clauses are not suggestions, they are policed. LVMH runs annual MAP compliance audits across its maisons, checking that every boutique and authorized retailer holds the line. If a shop breaks the rule, they risk losing access to the brand entirely. This isn't about squeezing out a few extra dollars. It's about freezing the signal. The price is the story, and any public dip would rewrite the narrative. Strategists inside these companies will tell you, think about the brands that never need a red sticker in the window: Hermes, Chanel, Louis Vuitton. Their core pieces don't get marked down in the boutique because the price is part of the identity. MAP clauses are the legal backbone that keeps that promise intact, turning price into a protected asset, not just a number on a tag. Waiting is baked into the luxury experience. At Hermes, the waiting list for a Birkin bag isn't just a logistical hurdle, it's a core part of the story. The same goes for bespoke services at Chanel or Louis Vuitton, where custom orders can mean months of anticipation. This isn't inefficiency, it's deliberate friction. Research from behavioral economics calls this effort justification. When people invest time, energy, or even just patience into getting something, the reward feels more meaningful. In one study, premium buyers who went through a waitlist or personalized process reported 25% higher satisfaction than those who could buy instantly. The act of waiting itself becomes part of the payoff. Scarcity and effort work together to create what psychologists call the scarcity premium. The harder it is to get, the more valuable it feels. That's why a sudden markdown doesn't just lower the price, it short-circuits the whole emotional buildup. Luxury brands know that anticipation is a kind of currency, and they guard it carefully. The friction is intentional, and the payoff is emotional. When the journey to ownership is part of the experience, the reward at the end feels earned, not just bought. A customer walks into a boutique and spends $5,000 on a handbag. What they are buying is not just leather and stitching, it is the certainty that next week, next year, that same bag will still hold its value, its meaning, its place in the world. Luxury brands know that if the price ever slips, the trust slips with it. Studies on customer resentment show that nothing erodes loyalty faster than seeing yesterday's full-price treasure go on sale. The sense of being protected from sudden shifts is part of what people are paying for. Inside the industry, this protection is written into contracts. Hermès and Chanel use right of first refusal clauses, spelled ROFRS, that give the brand the first chance to buy back any returned or unsold product from authorized retailers. Louis Vuitton does the same, with agreements that let them reclaim unsold stock before it ever hits the open market. These policies are not just about inventory, they are about shielding loyal buyers from the confusion and frustration of seeing their purchase devalued. A boutique manager puts it simply, our clients expect consistency. They want to know that what they buy today will mean the same tomorrow. That is why, for the brands that never need a red sticker in the window, price discipline is not just a business tactic, it is a promise. The rules are designed to keep trust intact, even as the world changes around them. Inside the worlds of the most exclusive brands, the flow of products is managed with the same care as the flow of money. Hermès, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton don't just rely on contracts, they build entire systems to keep their goods from flooding the market. Distribution is tightly controlled, with only a select network of authorized boutiques and retailers allowed to carry core collections. Each year, brands like those under LVMH undergo rigorous certification and compliance audits, checking that every partner is following strict rules on pricing, display, and inventory levels. Allocation limits are set in advance. A boutique might be allowed just a handful of certain bags per season, never enough to create surplus, always just enough to keep demand above supply. The distribution director at a major maison describes it simply. We don't chase volume. We decide who gets what and when. This isn't just about scarcity for its own sake. By keeping supply on a tight leash, luxury brands avoid the trap of excess stock that would force them into markdowns. Surplus is rare by design. When it does happen, there are separate channels for handling it, but the flagship boutiques and the story they tell remain untouched. That's how the promise of price discipline is kept, year after year. And when you do see discounted luxury, it is usually the parallel ecosystem, outlet-only lines, older seasonal stock, or controlled resale listings, not the flagship items they use to define the brand. At Hermès, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton, the outlet channel is a carefully managed safety valve, not a backdoor to the boutique. The products you find at a Louis Vuitton outlet are not the same as what is on display in their flagship stores. Outlet SKUs are tracked separately, often designed specifically for clearance, and discounts rarely exceed 40%. Even then, never on the core collections. In the boutique, the price is part of the identity. At the outlet, it is a different story. An outlet director at a major luxury group says every outlet line is grounded in a strict separation. What you see there will never be the same as what you see on the main floor in Paris or New York. This separation protects the main brand from price erosion, while still allowing the business to quietly clear surplus or past season items. The discount is contained, visible, but never touching the heart of the brand. For luxury houses, this parallel outlet system is the controlled release valve that keeps the flagship story untarnished even when inventory needs to move. When it comes to unsold inventory, some luxury brands take an approach that is as strict as it is controversial: destruction. In 2024, Chanel faced public protests in Paris after environmental groups revealed the brand had incinerated unsold handbags and accessories rather than risk them entering the discount market. The French Ministry of Ecology responded by launching an inquiry and demanding proof that Chanel was taking steps to limit waste. Hermes, too, has been reported to destroy excess silk and leather goods, a practice confirmed by internal audits and supply chain insiders who describe it as a last resort, never a first choice, but always an option if the alternative is a markdown. An anonymous voice from inside a major luxury logistics firm puts it plainly: the moment surplus hits the open market, you can't control the story. The price is the brand. If it drops, the whole meaning changes. For these houses, the risk is not just about lost revenue. It is about protecting the aura of exclusivity that makes their core products desirable in the first place. Destruction is a blunt tool, but it is one that ensures the boutique never needs a red sticker in the window. The ethical debate continues, but for now, the logic inside the industry is clear. Better to lose the product than to lose the story. Limited runs and silent launches are not just quirks of the luxury world, they are engineered strategies. When Hermes releases a numbered edition of bags or Chanel quietly drops a handful of rare pieces, the scarcity is not accidental. It is a deliberate move to keep demand burning hotter than supply. In behavioral economics, this is called the scarcity premium. When people believe a product might disappear, their willingness to pay jumps by about 12% according to controlled experiments. That is not just theory, it is a measurable effect. The fewer the pieces, the more magnetic the pull. These brands rarely announce how many are made, but insiders confirm that even in global launches, the true numbers are often shockingly low. Collectors know this, fueling a frenzy that pushes prices up in both primary and secondary markets. The anticipation and uncertainty, never knowing if you will get the call, become part of the allure. The moment supply feels infinite, the magic fades. Instead, every silent drop, every numbered run is a signal. This is not just a product, it is an opportunity. The scarcity is the story, and the story is what people are willing to pay for. A sale tag in a luxury boutique does not just lower the price, it changes the crowd. For brands like Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton, the core client is not hunting for a bargain. They are looking for recognition, consistency, and a sense that their purchase is a passport to a different world. The moment a flagship piece goes on sale, a new type of buyer walks through the door, the deal seeker. This group is motivated by the thrill of the markdown, not by the story or the heritage behind the product. Data from luxury retail analytics shows that deal seekers have a lower lifetime value. They spend less on aftercare, skip bespoke services, and rarely return for new arrivals. The boutique experience, built on relationships and trust, starts to fragment. Staff notice it first. Clients who once booked appointments and waited months for a bag now ask about next week's promotions. The brand's social fabric begins to fray, and the original clientele who valued stability and exclusivity quietly step back. This is why luxury houses treat price consistency as non-negotiable. The price is not just a threshold, it is a filter. When that filter disappears, so does the brand's ability to decide who belongs. At Hermes, the family name isn't just stamped on the storefront, it's woven into the way prices are set and kept. With 85% of Hermes still held by family members, decisions aren't driven by quarterly targets or the pressure to chase market share. Instead, there is a long-term view, a sense of stewardship that treats the brand's reputation as an inheritance to be protected, not just a resource to be mined. This kind of ownership structure is rare in global luxury, and it's a big reason why the rules don't bend when it comes to price. Meta-analyses on brand equity show a direct link. Brands with stable, predictable pricing enjoy higher trust from their customers, and that trust compounds over time. When a client walks into a boutique, the expectation is clear. The price won't shift with the seasons, and the meaning of the purchase won't be undercut by a sudden markdown. For Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton, this isn't just policy. It's a philosophy that runs through every decision, from how many bags are made to how they are distributed. The consistency is more than just a business tactic. It's a promise that what you buy today will stand for the same values tomorrow. In luxury, that kind of stability isn't just comforting, it's essential. Seasonal sales and discount calendars don't just move inventory, they train shoppers to wait. In mainstream retail, the pattern is familiar. See a price, expect it to drop. Over time, this cycle rewires behavior. Buyers learn that patience pays, and the thrill of the full-price purchase fades. In luxury, this is a risk brands can't afford. Behavioral economists have run a B-test where two groups are shown the same high-end item, but only one is told a sale is coming. The result is that the group primed to expect a discount holds off, and overall urgency collapses. The moment the calendar becomes predictable, the emotional payoff of buying now is replaced by the calculation of waiting for a better deal. The lesson was hard-earned for brands like Coach and Burberry. In the early 2000s, Burberry's heavy use of outlet sales and predictable markdowns conditioned buyers to expect deals. The result was a slow-motion erosion of its luxury cachet. Brand equity scores dropped by nearly a third, and it took years and millions in repositioning costs to restore the sense of rarity and urgency. Coach, too, saw its flagship boutiques lose their aura as customers waited for inevitable discounts, prompting a costly retreat from deep promotions. For brands that protect their identity, the warning is clear. Repeated sales don't just attract deal seekers, they reset expectations for everyone. The discipline to avoid sales isn't just about numbers. It is about defending the habit of buying into a story, not waiting for a bargain. Once shoppers are trained to expect a sale, the magic of anticipation is gone, and with it, the very meaning of luxury. In an era when almost everything is up for grabs, the luxury sector holds its ground, with price as identity, not incentive. As mass brands race to the bottom with endless markdowns, these houses remind us that meaning cannot be discounted. The desire for rarity and belonging is as powerful now as ever. In the end, what you buy isn't just a product, it's a story you choose to join. Share your thoughts below.